Good evening, everybody. Welcome into the Live and Learn podcast. Hope you're doing well on this Sunday, October the 12th. It is Canadian Thanksgiving weekend. If you have tomorrow off, have a good day off. If you don't, like me, go to work. Not that big of a deal if you ask me. Because I've made the argument forever that American Thanksgiving is superior to ours. That could just be being a raging Republican, or it could be the truth, or who the hell knows. But we're here live tonight following the Buccaneers about to beat the San Francisco 49ers. Week 6 in the NFL was an interesting day. We got a lot to get into tonight. We're going to bounce around. We're going to talk some football. We're going to talk some baseball because the Blue Jays and Mariners kick off their series in about 50 minutes. From now, live from the Rogers Center in downtown Toronto with Kevin Gausman on the mound. It was a busy weekend. To me, it was one of the more enjoyable sports weekends I can remember for me. I really enjoyed it. There was so much good college football yesterday, and it was awesome if you didn't watch. But it happened the whole day. Great games from 1 o'clock to 4:30 games to late last night watching BYU beat Arizona in double overtime. It was a great day of college football. And you also had hockey and I was watching the Winnipeg Jets play in the afternoon yesterday, and I watched UFC Rio last night, which was a fun card, fun finishes. And then you pivot. Today, you had football starting at 10:30 this morning in a game that if you missed, you'll be glad because it was truly dreadful between the New York Jets, and the Denver Broncos in Tottenham over in the UK, Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Truly a dreadful game. It was awful. The New York Jets now 0-6 on the season. But then you get into football this afternoon, baseball tonight. So just a really fun, engaging sports weekend. It started for me Friday night. For you who don't know, I don't sleep that well. And it's not that big of a problem for me because I've learned to live with it. But Friday night I was really tired for some reason, and I wanted to go to bed. But then there was this baseball game happening in Seattle. Tigers, Mariners. If you watched some of it, awesome. It was a phenomenal game. Tarek Skubal, the Detroit Tigers, 6 innings, 99 pitches, 13 strikeouts. Most ever strikeouts in a winner-take-all game. He's a horse. He's going to win his back-to-back Cy Youngs. But 99 pitches in a winner-take-all game, and Tigers are leading 1-0. And there's not a player on the team that I trust more than Skubal. Quite frankly, I think if you look at the rest of the Tigers roster, the team isn't all that good, including their bullpen, including their position players. And they decide to pull him and not let him pitch the 7th. And you could go back and look at the box score and say, well, Noah, they lost in the 15th. Sure, they did. And guys had to come in, and starters, and Jack Flaherty pitched, and they used everybody like Seattle did. And all that's true. But in the 7th, the Tigers gave up the tying run, which kept the game going. We'll get back to the original point as I was freaking tired. But they took out Skubal, didn't let him pitch the 7th like I knew they wouldn't, because baseball is all about analytics and graphs and charts. And just, this is our max, and we're unwilling or unprepared or too scared to go over our designated threshold. And Skubal did not pitch the 7th. The Tigers gave up a tying run, and about 2 hours later, the Mariners walked off the Tigers in the 15th. Now, the Mariners could have won it about 3 different times because they left guys on bases in the 11th, the 13th, and then Jorge Polanco ends up winning the game in the 15th. But that game ended at 2:12 a.m. Saturday morning. When you're very tired, you have to really force yourself to stay up for that. But I did. I can't say I feel bad about it. It was great. Great game. Great ending. Theater. The crowd was awesome in Seattle. And the Seattle Mariners, who have never won a World Series in their history, are off to the ALCS, which kicks off tonight in Toronto. And Toronto has not played since Wednesday, so they've gotten some time off. Heal up, have some pints, and get ready. Now, we did learn this morning that Bo Bichette will not be on the ALCS roster. He tweaked his injury running the bases yesterday. And the way it's going, I don't think he'll play in these playoffs. Now, I'm not a doctor. I just play one on a podcast. But if I'm wrong, we'll revisit it. But he won't be in the championship series. So if it goes 7 games, the Blue Jays will not have access to him against the Mariners. The other news, they added Chris Bassett and Max Scherzer to the CS roster. They did not have them on the the DS roster. They went with more bullpen arms, but it being a best 4 out of 7, they need starting pitchers. They can't do a bullpen game every other day. It will likely be Gausman. They've announced Savage will go tomorrow evening/afternoon. It's a 5:08 first pitch in Toronto. It's 6:08 first pitch here in Atlanta, Canada. And then game 3 in Seattle on Wednesday, TBD. Likely Chris Bassett, if you ask me. I could be wrong. There are other options, but you could also go with Shane Bieber, but we'll see. Shane Bieber wasn't phenomenal in the DS start, but they could go back to him. Correct decision for John Schneider and co. to get more starting, but they need more starting pitcher depth. They could put Scherzer in the bullpen, which I don't think is a bad idea. He's done it before. Did it in Texas when they won a World Series a couple years ago. So he has experience doing that. The Mariners get Brian Wu returning off injury, so he's now available to them. But they used Logan Gilbert. They used a number of guys in the bullpen on Friday night. So they are going with Bryce Miller tonight in their Game 1 starter. He's probably their fourth starting pitcher. So a great opportunity for the Blue Jays to get a win starting tonight, getting the advantage of only playing 4 games, not having to play 5, not having to go Game 5, 15 innings, where you have to deplete your pitching, deplete your position players. But I think it's a fun series because you get Seattle, Toronto. You can make a strong argument that the Toronto Blue Jays will have good home crowds at both games. Lots of West Coast Blue Jays fans in Vancouver that I would think will travel to those games. The Seattle Mariners have Josh Naylor on their team, who is a Canadian. Played great in Game 5. Just had a baby, him and his wife. So he's got some extra added motivation. But you have Eugenio Suarez, Josh Naylor, guys that have been in a World Series lately for the Mariners. Randy Arozarena played in a World Series for the Tampa Bay Rays. So they do have lots of experience. None of these guys winning, but having that experience lately. Mariners winning the American League West, which is rare for them. The Mariners haven't gotten to this point in a very, very long time. So they're thrilled. The big dumper very well could be the MVP. I don't think he will be, but he could be. So there's storylines galore. Two fresh teams. We said from the beginning, there's no favorite in the American League. No great team. In saying that, I think the Blue Jays are going to win this series, and I think they'll win the series in 6 games or less. Wouldn't surprise me if the Blue Jays win this series in 5 and they don't have to come back to Toronto. I think they're the best team in the American League, and if they were to play the Brewers in the World Series, I think the Blue Jays would be the betting favorite, and I think they'd win the World Series. Now, if they play that other team that plays out of Chavez Ravine, whole other story. But get a walk before you run for Toronto. Vladdy was superhuman in the ALDS. He had one of the best series in postseason baseball history. That's not hyperbole. He didn't hit home runs in the regular season. He hit 3 in 4 games. He had an RBI in every first inning, which is a crazy statistic. He got on base. He ran the bases incredibly well. Plays first, but plays it effectively. Made good plays defensively. George Springer might be the leader of the Blue Jays. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. without Bo Bichette is the team's best player. And he has to continue to be the team's best player. They won a series where Aaron Judge hit 500, and the Blue Jays won it easily. Because the Blue Jays play really well defensively, whether it's Barger, sure he had his fuck up in Game 3, but Barger, Clement, overall, this team plays good defensively. They're sound. They know what they're doing. Alejandro Kirk is a great bat, but he's also a very good catcher. So they have that going for them. I don't think Seattle's an easy out. Logan Gilbert, Brian Wu, good pitchers, really good pitchers when they're on. Josh Naylor, like I said, good player, winning pedigree. Arozarena, sure. Julio Rodriguez had a really good divisional series against the Tigers. But Detroit, unlike Toronto, really had one good pitcher. And they had the best pitcher in baseball, Skubal. Jack Flaherty is not a great pitcher. You go through Detroit's roster, it's thin. And Toronto, you Savage, Gosman. If Bieber is alive, he is a great pitcher. If he can find that routine, find some confidence, he can bring it to the forefront and he can be great. Bassett, could he give you 5 innings? 4 1/3? I think he can in a Game 4. And then you go back to your guys. The Blue Jays bullpen is like any bullpen. I don't think any team that would have true serum in their veins has confidence in their bullpen. Because a bullpen is like a prostitute, unreliable and worrisome. Because you never know what you're going to get. Could get some awesome sex, or you could get crabs. Who the hell knows? Jeff Hoffman is crazy. He's a closer that will put 2 guys on every time, but sometimes he gets out of it. Sometimes he gives us a 3-run homer. Yariel Rodriguez, I like him. I think he's a good pitcher. I think he'd be a starter eventually. He's good. Dominguez, you like him, but who knows? It's all a crap, but it's the same thing with Seattle. Bizzardo, we've seen all of them in Game 5. They wheeled them out. They were good. But the Detroit Tigers' bats aren't half as good as Toronto's. Detroit had an awesome turnaround. If they didn't fall off a cliff, they would have won the American League. I think it tells you more about the state of the American League than it does about the Detroit Tigers. Kerry Carpenter is their best batter. Spencer Torkelson, you go through the Tigers roster, you wouldn't be able to name half their team. So I think it's a different level that they're dealing with. Not to mention they didn't really get any rest. They played till late in the evening, and they have to travel to Toronto after playing until 1:10 or 1:11 local time in Toronto Saturday morning. Tonight should be an automatic victory for the Blue Jays. Attack early, get them out of it, and let them think, okay, we got to go game 2. Are there question marks for Toronto? Sure. Savage is 22 years old. He had one great start. He could be a complete disaster tomorrow. Why? Because he's 22 and it's baseball. It's weird. Maybe his stuff doesn't work. But all the different what ifs, I think there are more of them for Seattle, where I go, okay, sure. I think the Blue Jays have a deeper lineup. They've gotten clutch hits from Ernie Clement, or as I like to call him, Weekend at Ernie's all year long. Vladdy, Barger, Kirk, Lucas. Seemingly, it doesn't matter what game, they'll get something from someone in a big moment. They blew it once against the Yankees, but they should have swept the Yankees. The Yankees got lucky. One game and they won one. And Yankees fans threw a party, and I even thought, well, maybe the Yankees will extend this because I hate bullpen days. Openly admit it. I hate an opener, a bullpen day. I think it's crap. Quite frankly, I think it's cowardly. It's like soccer. It's just, something stinks about it. It's like diving on the ground playing soccer. It's just, nobody wants to watch it. Although more people in the world watch soccer than any other sport. That's something I'll never understand. I'll watch soccer during the World Cup. Otherwise, get it the fuck off my screen. No offense, Europe. But actually, take offense, Europe. You're not my biggest, fuck off. But I think the Blue Jays are going to win the series. Like I said, 6 or less. I could see it Blue Jays in 5. And they should be actively rooting for the Milwaukee Brewers. Because last night, the Brewers beat the Chicago Cubs, their division rival, 2-1. They got a pair of 3-1. They scored a late run to make it 3-1. Andrew Vaughn, homers in back-to-back games. What a great pickup for them for absolutely nothing from the White Sox. He's batted over 300 since he got traded to Milwaukee, and Milwaukee will actually host the CS because they are the top seed in baseball, let alone just the American League. So they win. The Brewers they won Game 5 with a bullpen day because they got Mizorowski pitching, and he pitched 3 innings out of the bullpen. Another game where they pulled him after the 3rd inning where he was pitching so well, and it infuriates me. But I can't change baseball. So why bother get angry? But I will continue to get angry. But they ended up winning. They now got the Dodgers best of 7. And they've proven people wrong all year. They usually lose in the DS. They win for a change. And they're a big underdog, against the reigning champions. Where you got Glasnow and Snell and Ohtani and Yamamoto and Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman and Ohtani, who also bats, and Will Smith, who's awesome in the plane, Kike Hernandez, who's Mr. Postseason. Freeman and Ohtani stunk in the DS. Stunk. I don't think that'll continue throughout the CS. It could, but I don't think it will. And I think the Brewers have such a fine margin where they need things to go absolutely correct for them to win. Where the Dodgers could get big hits, could get good pitching, will play good defense, could beat you in a slugfest 9-8 if they really needed to. Where I look at the Brewers and I just go, they need to win low-scoring games. They need to hit home runs. Need to be aggressive, steal bases, not make mistakes, fielding, and get to that Dodgers bullpen. Get to the Dodgers bullpen because it is their biggest weakness. Go through the starting pitchers, get to the bullpen. They don't have Tanner Scott. He's not available for the CS. He's out with a family matter. But, Vesia, shaky. I just don't trust their bullpen, quite frankly. But I still got the Dodgers in 6. Could be less as well for me. And again, if you're Toronto, you're rooting for the Brewers because it's so much more difficult to beat the Dodgers in the World Series. Now, no shame. You get to a World Series and you lose. You're doing better than the hockey team in the same city. I'll tell you that. They've never gotten that close, so you have those bragging rights. But with the Milwaukee, Toronto's the favorite. On FanDuel, Toronto will be the betting. They have the second best odds to win the World Series right now. So that tells you that they look at them and go, yeah, Toronto. They get there, they're playing Milwaukee, even without home field advantage. As we're talking about, I see Aaron Judge is at the Yankee game, sitting right next to Anthony Rizzo. I say Yankee game? He's at the Ranger game, pardon me. Washington, New York, only NHL game today. 1 NHL game on Friday, 0 NHL games on Friday, bunch yesterday, 1 tonight. Oh, NHL. God love you. God love you. But that's how I have baseball going. But again, the Blue Jays and the Mariners play this evening. They play tomorrow afternoon. So on Tuesday's podcast, we will discuss the first 2 games. We'll get into the start of the ALCS as well, because that begins tomorrow night. But the postseason baseball has been awesome so far. Really enjoying it. Fun games, lots happening. Would I have loved for that game not to go 15 innings? But at least it was a Friday night. I can say that. Because I could have gotten the option to sleep in. I didn't. But I could have had the option, which I appreciate. But nevertheless. Start of the NHL season. NHL started. Mentioned watching some hockey yesterday. Great to see Jonathan Toews back. That's my first thing. He's one of my favorite players ever. If I had another dog, I have a short list for names. They're all sports related. Toews would be on my short list for what I would name my dog. If and when I get another dog. Toews is on that list. Yager is on that list. think that'd be a great name for a little dachshund puppy. Ovi would be on that list. But seeing Taves play, he's healthy. Still got to get up to the speed of the game. But he's on a great team. The Winnipeg Jets they won the President's Trophy last year. Even without Nikolai Ehlers, to me, they're still very good. Mark Scheifele, they re-upped Kyle Connor last week. He gets $12 million, 8 years to stay in Winnipeg. First of all, he's worth that. He is a great goal scorer. He's going to be in the American Olympic team. And I was discussing this with a good friend today. You have to pay a small market tax. And to me, Winnipeg really didn't have to. What they did technically have to, they paid him a signing bonus of over $40 million, which they don't do. Because they are a small market and because they don't have that, their owners don't have that kind of money to hand out through signing bonus. But when you have an American and he plays in Winnipeg, and I'm a Canadian and I don't want to live in Winnipeg, so I can't imagine coming from the United States being, let me stay in Winnipeg for the glory years of my life. I'm going to live in Winnipeg, Manitoba. I want a GD signing bonus as well. But you don't have to pay him $17 million like you do another guy to play in a dump city. You just give him a $40 million signing bonus and he stays. And I still think he's one of the more underrated players in the league. He's a really good passer. He plays hard on both ends. He's got an unreal, he scores you 40 goals a year in his sleep. And Mark Scheifele, who everybody, I think if you're a coach, one of your favorite players in the league has to be Mark Scheifele because the guy just competes. And he loves hockey and he loves the game. And to me, he's Sid 2.0 because of his hockey intellect, his IQ, the way he approaches the game, 200 feet, all those cliches, but they're true about Mark. He's just a gamer, and he did an interview with Darren Dreger, and he said, I'm thrilled. I got my winger. I got my winger for the next 8 years because Scheifele just signed an extension last summer. Hellebuck signed an extension last summer. So you have the best goalie in the league, back-to-back Vezinas, won the Hart. You got Scheifele still in his prime, Connor in his prime. Gabe Vilardi, they re-signed. He was an RFA. I like Gabe Vilardi. Perfetti's a good player. He's hurt right now, but he'll be available. I like Perfetti. Morrissey is awesome. Morrissey's a number one. Few and far of them in the league. Winnipeg, Manitoba has one. Check. So to me, Winnipeg has... Kaprizov's probably a better player than Kyle Connor, but I'd rather have Kyle Connor on my team because I think I have a better chance of winning with Kyle Connor than I do Kaprizov on my team. And if I'm comparing Kaprizov 17, Connor for 12, I'll take Connor at 12 every day of the week. So kudos to the Winnipeg Jets for not having to crazy overpay. And they beat LA yesterday, and they had a great first period. And again, the games so far this year, the first 2 weeks really throw the games away. Because I already saw it, I think it was last night or this morning. They're panicking in Toronto. Okay, you lost. You lost a game. Nobody watched that game. There was a Bryan Adams concert that I know my parents were at. They're Leafs fans. They didn't watch it. College football, okay? It was great college football. Michigan, USC last night. Watch it? I did. Georgia, Auburn, that was fun. There was baseball on. Lots of shit. Nobody was watching Leafs, Detroit. Maybe you were, but I watched some of it. But okay, you lost to Detroit. Not that big of a deal. You play them again tomorrow. Kick their ass tomorrow. Detroit's not a great team. They're not going to be a playoff team. Steve Yzerman doesn't know what the hell he's doing. But anyway, you lost the game. Big whoop. And it looks like Easton Cowan's going to play tomorrow for the Toronto Maple Leafs on their top line. So hip, hip, hooray for Easton Cowan. Happy for that. But the games itself, it's more about the storylines for me early on. We'll talk more about the games as we get deeper and deeper. Bad habits, yeah, there's bad habits everywhere. Bad habits up the wazoo. Now, something good to see, which was evident, awesome to see because I root for this player. First 2-3 games of the season, Connor Bedard looks like a new man. Connor Bedard looks like a player that has the capability to be one of the 5-10 best players in the league. He looks bigger, yet still incredibly fast. He's playing center. Yes, because when you are crazy dynamic, you should play center. Well, I don't like Draisaitl and McDavid playing together. But nevertheless. So I love that. But he's buzzing. He's fast. He's creative. And I love to see it. It will not have any bearing on the Blackhawks season because they stink. Boy, do they stink. And they're not going to be good anytime soon. They're hoping they can get Gavin McKenna. I was going to say Macklin Celebrini, but that same team is hoping for Gavin McKenna come June. But it's okay. You wait. But for me, I want to see Connor have a really good year while the team loses a lot of games in all likelihood. Well, it's going to happen. But he's more assertive, more creative, confident with the puck. He just looks like the Connor Bedard of old, of year one. Sophomore slump, it happened. Happened to Nathan MacKinnon. Some people thought Nathan MacKinnon was a bust. Nathan MacKinnon's like the third best player in the league. Could argue he's top 2. I get the 2 guys at Edmonton, but then I got MacKinnon. 3. He's incredibly dynamic. He's got 6 points in his first 2-3 games. He's been awesome. Dallas and Colorado played a really fun game last night. Those 2 teams matching up. Now, the game ended in the travesty, otherwise known as the shootout. We call it the gimmick here on the podcast. Didn't watch that because it's one of my just won't do it. If I'm watching a game and it goes to a shootout, I will flip the game. I'll change the channel. And that might sound crazy. Yeah, you're not wrong. It does sound kind of crazy. And I've done it with friends around. Doesn't get a great reaction. But I'm a principled man. And I stand behind what I believe in. I think people appreciate that. Hope so, anyway. But I love to see that from Connor Bedard. Macklin Celebrini had a really fine start to this. I think that kid's awesome too. San Jose, and again, I'm talking headlines tonight rather than going over individual games because I just think we'll do that later in the week. Right now, it's just there's a lot of bad hockey. So, there's several. Toronto's look bad 2 games. I'm not worried about them long term. Tampa has looked awful first 2 games. I'm not panicking yet. Quite frankly, Calgary has played 3 games, and they've won 2 of them, and I don't think they played particularly well in any of them. That could be more of a concern, but you won 2 of them. So bully for you. But San Jose is another team that we don't expect to be great. They played a game last night against the Anaheim Ducks, I believe. I'm just going to make sure it was the Anaheim Ducks, but I want to be correct. Yes. And they lost in overtime. Leo Carlsson, his first of the season. They were outshot 43-23, 7-6. 7-6 game. Cutter Gauthier had a big night. Mason McTavish had a good game. Bennett Seneca, the rookie, scored his first career NHL goal and his second career NHL goal. He looks like he could be sticking around for Anaheim. But my big thing is San Jose has decided to keep Michael Misa, the number 2 overall pick in the 2025 NHL draft. He's not sent back to junior. And he's been a healthy scratch in the first 2 games. They've lost both of them in extra time. They lost to Vegas in their opener because their goaltender was a mess. But that's not the bigger deal here. You have the number 2 overall pick, and you keep him at the NHL level. He can't go to the American League because of the stupid rules. Or the rules, as others would say. You keep a number 2 overall pick, you like him. You're not playing him. Makes no sense. I see, this thought process with Easton Cowan. I agree with it on some level. If you're not going to play him, a healthy scratch is somebody that you don't care if they're not playing because they're a body, but you know what they are. Michael Misa, Easton Cowan, players that are 19, 20 years old, you want playing to get better because they are the future. You have a defenseman like Frankie Corrado in Toronto. He sat a lot of games. Not great for his career, but it was Frankie Corrado, and Mike Babcock was okay with him not playing for months on end. Practicing, health bomb is what it is. Health bombing a number 2 overall pick to me is just stupid. Ryan Reeves scored a goal and he fought last night, which is awesome. And I like Ryan Reeves. And San Jose is a young team, and I get it. But I'm playing him. If Kurashev, if Wenberg, if Ty Dellandrea, Eklund, I don't care, have to not play, he's playing. He's our number 2 overall pick. He's the second most important prospect in our organization behind only Macklin Celebrini, who had 3 assists last night, alongside Will Smith, another really important prospect, who also had 3 assists. San Jose is going to be a mess. They're going to be bad defensively, and they're playing a lot of young players. They are going to be one of the best watches in the NHL because of everything I just said. Everything I just said. Play Michael Misa already. Healthy scratching someone like that? No. No. Or send him back to junior. But they're not going to do that because he's way too damn good for junior because he had 140 points there last year. Healthy scratching guy 2 games and then playing him 80 games in a row, which is probably what's going to happen, never makes sense to me. It's just stupid. You're overthinking it. Stupid organizational decisions. But I guess if there wasn't stupidity, I'd have nothing to talk about. So, Occam's razor, I guess. I don't know. Florida's 3-0. The Florida Panthers are 3-0, which is fun to me. It's interesting. They've had one tough opponent. They played Ottawa last night, blew them out. And again, early on, not that big of a deal. But you beat Chicago, you beat Philly, you beat Ottawa, all on home ice to start the season. You take that if you're Florida. Brad Marchand's had a really good start to the year. Evan Rodriguez has had a good start to the year. Bobrovsky's been good in the net. Winning, dominating Ottawa 6-2 last night on home ice. You're happy about all that. No Barkov, no Tkachuk. They will go through their tough spurts this season, no doubt. But I've said this before. They are one of the most dangerous teams in hockey. I think they're going to win the Cup again, even without Barkov. He might not play a game this year. I still think they're going to win the Stanley Cup. Because they're the best team in hockey, because they have that identity, because they know what they're doing. And unlike other organizations, they do not major in stupid. They do not make that dumb mistake in the key moment. And a rarity, they kept people. Usually when you win, you have to get rid of good players. They really didn't have to. Other teams around them got worse while they stayed the same, which was a winner. Long season, long way to go. But they look like still a very competent team, no doubt about it. Other NHL news, Jack Eichel re-upped in Vegas for $13.5 million. Eichel at 13.5 or Kaprizov at 17. I wonder which one I would take. It's a tough choice. It's a tough one. I don't know. I'll get back to you on that. Although I am a big fan of Vegas, so I could be leaning that way. And I do like center iceman a lot as well, especially number one on teams. But it's a tough one, though. I'll let you know. It's a tough debate. I don't know. It's a toughie. My thought now is, when does somebody surpass Kaprizov? I don't think it's anytime soon, folks. Cale Makar is due a contract. It's his last year of his current deal. He won't make more than that. He could. I don't think so. And he's the best defenseman in the league. But I think initially we all thought, well, Kaprizov, his contract's done a lot for the NHL. It's going to augment player value. And then like a week later, McDavid signs for 12.5, and I think it's decreased player contract value. Which, Eichel took 13.5, which is a raise. It's the most that a player in a no-state income tax state has ever made in the history of the NHL. So he is a trendsetter. He is breaking the proverbial mold, if you will. First, it was 10, so we have seen the jump. Bobrovsky got 10.5. So Bobrovsky was the guy making 10.5 in one of those markets where players only got a certain value. But you had this past year, Rantanen get 12 in Dallas. Marner get 12 in the same Vegas. Ekblad, Marchand, taking less. McDavid, not in no state in hellhole Edmonton, taking 12.5. So I'm just curious because I wonder, instead of seeing the number rise to the 18, 19, 20 million, if we see the middle class, the top 6 winger, make more than they should. For instance, Marty Neckash, very good player, plays for the Colorado Avalanche, used to play for Carolina, was included in the Rantanen deal last year. And Marty Neckash is a very good player, really good player. Now, he's not Mikko Rantanen, but he's due a contract at the end of this year. And if Colorado wants to keep him, they're going to probably have to pay him $10.5 to $11 million. And do I think Marty Neckash is $11 million, 12? No. But I think that's what he's going to get. And that's just, to quote the great Ray LaFleur, that's just the way she goes. And sometimes she goes, sometimes she doesn't. This time I think it's going to go for the Marty Neckashes of the world. The number will benefit him. And he's kind of, the middle class. He's not an elite player. He's a good player. But he plays with McKinnon on his wing. And that's a huge difference. Huge difference to your productivity, to how you're viewed. You're on one of the best lines in hockey. Who's your center iceman? Oh, yeah, that guy from Nova Scotia who's an absolute bull in a china shop. But he's a guy that will get big money. Colorado may have to pay him what Rantanen got. And there's no debate to me who I'd rather have. It's Mikko Rantanen. But again, Colorado to me makes crazy decisions sometimes. And I don't fully trust Joe Sakic and Chris McFarland there and what they're doing. Crazy time. But good to have hockey back. Like I said, so 2-3 games in, people panicking. Just chill. Just chill. If your team's 3-0, okay, great. If you lose to a Detroit team that isn't any good, it's fine. It's one game. Get over it. Nobody watched it. They watch college football, or they watch baseball, or they went to a Bryan Adams concert, so it's okay. It's okay. You got them again tomorrow. Bunch of afternoon hockey tomorrow for Thanksgiving. If you didn't know, the Maple Leaf game is now at 3 p.m. Atlantic. It's supposed to be at 5 p.m. Atlantic, but they moved it up because the Blue Jays play at 6 p.m. Atlantic. So that people could go to both, hypothetically, because it's so close, which is cool. It would be a crazy day in the city of Toronto tomorrow. Got to boost that economy. Everybody working at home, not spending any money. Sick of that. Like I said, there's a lot of intrigue in the league this year. I think there's a lot of interesting stories. Montreal's 2-1. They scored a late one. Caden Gooley with 15 seconds left to beat Chicago last night. Boston 3-0. I don't think they'll be top in the division at the end of the year. I could be wrong, but you never know. 7-4 Columbus win over Minnesota. I like Columbus. You know that. Utah gets their first win as the Mammoth. New name. big news there. Oilers beat the Canucks. Fun stuff. But overall, good start to a lot of games tomorrow. Why there's only no games Friday? I can understand one game on Sundays because it's football on Sundays. And I think people are more focused on that than they are more focused on football than they are hockey on Sundays. But no games Friday night. And your season started 3 days earlier. Seems like a bit of an error, Cotton. But anyway, we're past it. You got afternoon hockey tomorrow, which is fun. I love it. NFL. Week 6. Still ongoing. We got a really fun Sunday nighter, with the Detroit Lions, the best team in football right now to me, heading into Arrowhead to play the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs coming off a Monday night loss to Jacksonville. Chiefs are 2-3 in a division that is kind of all over the place, with the Broncos, who won today but didn't look very productive or competent doing it, beating the Jets in London. The Jets are the only winless team in the NFL. The Jets had 45 passing yards today. 45. They had 5 total yards on offense after the first half. That's not a typo. Aaron Glenn, I don't know if he's going to go more than 1 year as the head coach. They have been that bad. But we're at that point of the NFL season where you start to look. Aaron Glenn, certainly on the hot seat. Sure, it's year 1. He's on the hot seat to me. The Miami Dolphins, which are a non-entity team, but they're incredibly interesting to me because I'm watching that game today. Dolphins-Chargers in Miami. And for 2 hours and change, it's all Chargers. Tua has two interceptions. He nearly fumbles. He is doing his normal Tua thing. Achane breaks off for a huge run. Gotta love Achane. But it's kind of a nondescript Dolphins game. Chargers aren't exactly blowing the doors off of them, but the Chargers missing 2 offensive linemen. They're missing their top 2 running backs. They're missing Quentin Johnson. So they're leaking oil. But they're winning, and they're up 10. They're up 10 on the Dolphins. But then, all of a sudden, the Dolphins find a pulse. They get some momentum. And they rally. Achane, touchdown. 46 seconds left. Tua to Darren Waller. Touchdown. Dolphins lead by 1. But their defense, which it doesn't matter which running back plays the Dolphins, they suddenly just become a superstar. I mentioned the Chargers are without their top 2 running backs. Kamani Vidal, who most people had never heard of, started today. Had 124 yards rushing, 18 carries at 7 yards a clip. Pretty good day. And the Chargers go down the field, kick a walk-off field goal, defeat the Dolphins 29-27. Dolphins are now 1-5. Chargers improved to 4-2. Good play by Barger at third, if you're watching the game. After the game, Tua Tagovailoa, who is an interesting cat, had this to say about the loss. Well, I think it starts with the leadership and helping articulate that for the guys, Tua told reporters. And then what we're expecting out of the guys, right? We're expecting this. Are we getting that? Are we not getting that? We have guys showing up. We have guys showing up to player-only meetings late, guys not showing up to player-only meetings. Like, there's a lot that goes into that. Do we have to make this mandatory? Do we not have to make this mandatory? So it's a lot of things of that nature that we got to get cleaned up, and it starts with the little things like that. Okay. Having a players-only meeting and players not coming, that sort of, and again, that sort of sounds like a big deal to me. Because that's not coaching related, so to speak. That's just players kind of respecting one another, showing up to a meeting, and giving the proverbial shit about what's happening around them, if you will. And that doesn't seem to be the case right now. Tua's the leader of the team. If he's arranging these player-only meetings and they're not showing up because they don't like him, also a problem because he's the quarterback. Mike McDaniel's going to go. It's probably not going to be this week. The Dolphins are kind of like the Yankees where they don't fire people. They don't like to fire people. They don't like to make change. So I don't think they're going to make a move in season. You can look at it and go, we lost a game to a Chargers team that is better than us, that is leading their division. We went right down to the wire with them, okay? Which is true, I guess, but at the same time, it's like, well, they're going in a direction, you're going in another direction. If the Jets didn't exist, you would be last place in your division. The Patriots were good for 20 years. They were bad for 2 years, and now they've already surpassed you again. They have a quarterback who's 10 times better than Tua Tagovailoa and Drake May, who had another 3-touchdown game, who completed 84% of his passes today. Sure, they played the Saints, but the Saints play teams tough. And again, biggest deal, the Patriots win. They've won 3 straight, including beating the Bills in Buffalo, which the Dolphins will never do with Tua. He's due so much money. It's so hard to get rid of him. But he's a 27-year-old that his body has been, hit like it's been 85. Couple hip surgeries, concussions. He's dealing with thumb and hand injuries, according to the injury report. He's not accurate like he used to be. He's throwing a ton of interceptions. He can't run. He can't escape like most quarterbacks in the league. Mike McDaniel on the hot seat. Just like Aaron Glenn, oddly enough, in the same division. Tennessee lost to the Raiders. They're 1-5, and that was a bad loss. Brian Callahan, hot seat for sure. Zach Taylor, the Bengals are 2-4. I think he's going to go by the end of the year because that team's not making the playoffs. They played hard today against Green Bay on the road with Joe Flacco. I get it, but it's not enough. There were some good games today. For me, Tampa is just, they're a fun watch every week. As George Springer hits a first pitch home run. They are a fun watch every week, and they have the MVP of the league after 6 weeks in Baker Mayfield. No Chris Godwin, no Mike Evans, no Tristan Wirfs. Emeka Egbuka did not play in the second half. They don't have Bucky Irving, and yet it doesn't matter. Next man up, he will find somebody to give the ball to. Baker today, 17 for 23, 256, 2 touchdowns, 3 carries for 14 yards, including a 15-yard scramble. It was a 3rd and 15. They don't run the ball that well, Tampa. Cameron Johnson, 4 for 64. Sterling Shepard, 2 for 51. Cade Otton, 5 for 51. Tez Johnson, 45-yard touchdown. He made it work. It was mass unit against mass unit because San Francisco is another broken team. Brock Purdy's not available. Mac Jones is. He's clearly playing hurt. He's hobbling around out there. And he didn't have his best day. Had a couple turnovers. Would want a couple of those throws back, certainly, would Mac Jones. But, he battled. But San Francisco, hoping to get guys back, they lost Fred Warner for the season, who got rolled up. An offensive lineman fell. It's just, he was playing such good football, like he always does. But he got rolled up. He has a 49ers linebacker, Fred Warner, to undergo surgery on broken, dislocated ankle. He'll be out for the year per Kyle Shanahan. Without Kittle, without Ayuk, Brock Purdy has played 2 games this year. Jennings is hurt. I mean, it's eventually you just run out of bodies and you can't win games anymore. San Francisco's 4-2. Same record as the Rams in the same division. Same record as my Seahawks in that division. I think Seattle can win that. Seattle went to Jacksonville, beat them today, beat the hell out of the offensive line. Trevor Lawrence will be sore tomorrow. Seattle winning that game 20-12. Trevor Lawrence got sacked 7 times today. Darnold, another efficient, 16 for 27, 295, 2 touchdowns. JSN, 8 for $162 and a tud. He doesn't make the pivotal mistake anymore, Sam Darnold. He's smart, he's smooth, he runs the offense. Made big throws down the stretch. Seattle's a good team. Got Houston next Monday night in Seattle. To me, they're a playoff team. They can win that division. Rams are good, but Seattle is too. San Francisco's wounded, and you have Arizona, who, oddly enough, look better with Jacoby Brissett today at quarterback than they do with Kyler Murray. But they still lost to the Colts. Colts improved to 5-1. Danny Dimes leading a late touchdown drive to secure the W for Indianapolis. Panthers defeat Dallas in Carolina. A huge win for Carolina's now 3-3. Won a couple games in a row. Bryce Young, I thought, played well today. Rico Dowdle has had back-to-back games of over 200 all-purpose yards, 230 all-purpose yards, 30 carries for $183, 4 receptions for 56. What a game. Tetairoa McMillan, his first 2 career touchdown receptions, the rookie out of Arizona. I like him a lot. They're not a perfect team, but they're getting better, Carolina. Dallas did Dallas things. Carolina's got the Jets next week. That should be a W. They can compete, at the very least, the Carolina Panthers. I mentioned the Patriots. I think the Patriots are good. Green Bay beats since today it was just a weird day. Steelers beat the Browns. I don't have a lot to say about that game. Rams beat the Ravens without Lamar. John Harbaugh says they got a bye in week 7. He should be back in week 8 against Chicago. They are 1-5. Baltimore Ravens are 1-5. They have to go, probably have to go like 10-3 down the stretch to make the playoffs. Maybe better than that in order to make the playoffs in the AFC. Steelers with Aaron Rodgers at 41 are in the driver's seat to win that division. Because you have the Bengals who are 2-4. And I mentioned they battled hard. They played hard today against Green Bay. But they're so short-staffed and their offensive line still isn't good. Their defense came to play, and they play with a lot of heart. And Flacco was okay today. And Jamar Chase competed for him, made some big catches. But I don't see Cincinnati. Pittsburgh is the favorite to win the AFC North for the first time this season on FanDuel Sportsbook, -120 right now. 4-1. They've already had their bye week. They got Cincinnati Thursday Night Football this week, the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I don't think Pittsburgh's a great team by any means. But Mike Tomlin wins, if you look coming up, at Bengals, Packers, Colts, Chargers, Bengals. That's a tough stretch. They might only beat the Bengals in that stretch. But again, it's that division. Bears, Bills, Ravens, Dolphins. I don't see how, with their division games, they don't get to 9 wins. Being 9-8, winning the AFC North. Probably happens for them. This week and next week, we get a double dose of football on Monday Night Football. Tomorrow night, it's Bills, Falcons, Bears, Commanders. Actually, 2 pretty good games. Bills coming off a loss, heading to Atlanta. With Atlanta, who can run the ball extremely effectively. Atlanta coming off a bye, playing on a Monday night. Bills are favored by 3.5 in Atlanta. Bills defense still shaky, but they get an extra day following Sunday Night Football to prepare. Atlanta's been waiting a while to get back on the field. Bijan against the Milano and those linebackers will be a fun matchup. Certainly, the Buffalo corners are not elite by any means as well. With guys, no Darnell Mooney, however, but you do have Drake London, you do have Kyle Pitts, who you can use. I think it's a good test game for Buffalo because Atlanta can do so many things on offense if they have their head on straight and know what they're doing, which is not always the case. I like Buffalo minus the 3.5. I think it's a good game on Monday night. It's an 8:15 kickoff, by the way, early kickoff. Love that as well. But I think the Bills kind of get back on track, if you will. They win a game by at least a touchdown tomorrow night in Atlanta. And the AFC is wide open. Still. Buffalo has to prove themselves. And I think I had this conversation with my mother this weekend. And she said, they lost and people are still saying Buffalo are going to be in the Super Bowl. Yeah, including me. Because I don't see any team around them that is better than Buffalo. How could you say Kansas City? They have not demonstrated it. Baltimore is a mass unit, and their defense is terrible. Terrible. The Chargers. Okay. Good luck. Jacksonville. I like my Colts. 5-1, the Colts. But I'm, leaking confidence in that pick. But they'll probably have 2 playoff teams from that division. Broncos, again, they haven't looked dominant this year. They barely beat the Jets today. And if you start a conversation with "we barely beat the Jets," it's over. It's very much wide open. Could be the Bills. I still think they're the best team in the AFC, top to bottom. And then you got Bears Commanders in the nightcap. Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, 2.0. They met last year. The Commanders won the game on a Hail Mary. You'll remember it. The Bears season, they never won another game after that, the Bears. Their season went completely down the drain. Caleb Williams played bad football. I think Caleb's played pretty good this year, all things considered. They're coming off a bye, Monday Night Football, going on the road. Caleb's from the Washington area, so kind of a homecoming game for him. Washington's coming off a win in Los Angeles over the Chargers. Commanders are favored by 5.5. Five and a half's a lot of points for me. It was a field goal game last year. Commanders are better than I thought they'd be. The fact that they're 3-2 and Jaden Daniels has missed 2 games, good job by them. Credit to them. I like the Bears plus 5.5 on the road. I think Caleb's played good football. I think he'll continue to play good football. You can take advantage of that middle of that Washington defense. Using Kmet, using Loveland. Should be a big night for Chicago Bears tight ends. But I like the Bears to cover. Wouldn't shock me if the Bears win this game tomorrow night. But I do think we get 2 good Monday Night Football games. We will recap those games Tuesday night, 7 p.m. on the podcast. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Enjoy the rest of your Thanksgiving weekend if you're off tomorrow. We will talk to you again on Tuesday evening. I'm your host, Noah Warren, and this is the Live and Learn podcast.